Ladies, gentlemen, and haradrim of all ages, when it comes to Diablo 4, it seems like there is always something actively happening in some way or another, whether it be changes to fix the game, additions to try and make the game a little bit better, discussion from developers with players that can give us some insight into their thought process, or even announcements about the future of the game or even the series. And well, today is no different. These things seem to just never stop. Today, though, we have a couple of exciting things to go over, so let's not put it off any longer, and we'll begin by talking about the actual changes being made to the game right now. Well, from this moment until the end of the week on Monday the 27th, there is an event running within the game called Mother's Blessing. This is granting players a whopping 35% more gold and experience than you would normally get. Simple bonus, no cost, no price, just hey, here's some incentive to play a bit more this week and get more rewarded if you do. The thing is, this started on Monday, we knew it would be coming because they told us ahead of time, and they even told us ahead of time that the bonus would be 35%. I even made a whole big note of it in our last news discussion that this was interesting because they have done a Mother's Blessing event in the past, but it was 25% as a bonus the first time. So I thought the bump from 25% to 35% was nice. As it turns out, I'm not so sure that people at Blizzard were even aware the bonus was actually different the first time, because when the event hit the servers live on Monday, players noticed something quite odd. The Mother's Blessing tooltip in-game said it was only giving 25%, which you know is still notably a large increase, but it's the bonus from before, not the new one that we were promised. It's significantly lower than what we were told we were going to get this time. As a result, people went through and told the developers what was going on, and it did take a few hours, but eventually this hotfix did release, with the only effect that it has being fixing the amount of bonus experience and gold from Mother's Blessing to instead be worth 35% as was originally promised. Interestingly, they could only change the back end of this, and apparently fixing the tooltip itself would require a client patch, so the tooltip in-game does still say it's 25%, but the actual in-game effect is 35%. But, well, it's hard to directly quantify that as players without the stats the devs have, so we just sort of have to take their word on that. All that said, I just thought it was quite the interesting thing to come up, and it shows another one of the concerns that I still do constantly have with this game. They told us Mother's Blessing was coming a number of days before it did, they told us the value it would give us and everything, and if that is when they told us, that means they knew about it and planned it a decent amount of time before that point. That means there were multiple discussions between various developers about the fact that this would happen, and the fact that it would be a 35% bonus. Somebody had to choose that. My concern is that it somehow went through all that process, and then also made it to live servers, and not a single person noticed or checked, or hell, it's entirely possible nobody even thought to actually change the value. To me, that is an issue of communication between various teams, and an issue of QA testing as well. Even if, yes, this is something where testing is rather minor, you probably wouldn't test it much, it would have still just taken literally one person launching the game with this buff on their internal server, looking at the tooltip and realizing, oh, we maybe didn't change that. It feels like the marketing team said, hey, we should do another XP buff, and the devs said, yes. Then the devs walked away before the marketing team could finish by saying that they want to buff the amount to 35%, but the marketing team thought they heard it, so they told everyone in the world, and then they had to cover the mess a little bit when it released incorrectly. Yes, it is a relatively small thing, a relatively simple one, but even though they are going in the right direction with the recent updates, issues like this still cause me concern, because they show a continued lack of communication between different developers, and also a lack of testing before throwing things up actually live into the game to the players. They basically use us as testing, and we need to fix that. It's something that I think needs working on if this game is going to continue to improve over time, which of course I want it to do. Past that, while this XP event is going on, there is also a sale for the game happening too, up to 40% on all different platforms, and in fact this actually extends to the in-game shop as well, with almost half of the things that are currently being sold there also being 20 to 40% off. So if you are someone who really wants one of those shop cosmetics but could not stand the thought of getting them at full price, maybe you should have a look in here now and see if there's anything on sale that catches your eye. It's entirely up to you, of course, but I know a lot of people never even look at the shop screen, so I thought I should mention it because I bet a bunch of you don't even know that there's a sale happening. On a similar note, for whatever reason, there is also a full-on free cosmetic weapon in the shop right now, the Azure Hand Skull Crusher Mace. This is a pretty nice looking mace, definitely relatively unique compared to most, which is a plus, and for some reason, it's just free in the shop. Normally, I would just say, oh, that's cool, they've given us free stuff, I don't know why, but I won't complain. But normally when they do free stuff, they just sort of stuff it into your inventory without you having to go into the shop to manually interact with it and claim it, and on top of that, This item already existed. It is not new. It is a Twitch Prime drop, which is something Diablo has been doing for quite a bit since the actual release of the game, where if you watch a certain number of hours of Diablo streams each week, you get one of these cool recolored cosmetics. And this weapon is one of those that they pretty inexplicably just added as a free item that you can claim in the shop afterwards? Honestly, it sort of makes the whole Twitch Prime system for the game feel pointless if they're going to be doing this with all of them, but I won't complain about that because it means more free stuff for everyone. So hey, make sure you grab it while it's around. That's the main thing. I'm just letting you know it's there. Make sure you get it because it probably won't sit there as a free item forever. Our next major thing is, well, probably the last time you will ever have to hear me talk about the Blood Drive event going on in Diablo 4. Unless, something tragic happens to the PC giveaway that we need to talk about in the future. But as far as the whole rest of it, the entire rest of it, the blood donations, the 666 pints, and the rewards, that is all over. We hit 100% of the goal that the developers set, and the reward has now officially hit the game as of last night. Every single player now has a number of weapon cosmetics that has been added into their wardrobe, which all look quite nice. A bit blood-themed as you would expect, matches the season nicely. Here are the sword and dagger, which are the ones that I can easily show you, but there are also, of course, a few others too of a matching aesthetic. Then we also got a full-on Barbarian armor set here with a goat skull, some fur, some really thick scaling going down the arm. I actually really like the way that the set looks considering it is completely free, especially. But a bit sad that they gave us something that only applies to one of the 5 classes as a reward for all the players, but hey, what can you do? It's still free, right? It's hard to look a gift horse in the mouth, you know? Speaking of which, here's our gift horse. The final reward from this Blood Drive completion is a free horse for every player in the game, just a nice looking sort of skeleton themed mount, black with white splotches on it, and then a cool skull-like face paint motif going on. Honestly, it sort of, to a certain extent, reminds me of a cow, just a little bit, and that makes me wish that we had a cow that we could ride around on as a mount, but we don't. And you know what, this is pretty decent regardless, considering that we had to do literally nothing to get it, for the most part, at least most of us, and it now just exists for every single player. Then to round things off for the day, we of course had some tweets from the developers themselves, and starting off, I just wanted to point out and laugh at something silly. In relation to the issue earlier with Mother's Blessing and how it launched a 25% bonus instead of the 35% it was supposed to, the developers did quite quickly after this happened make a statement about how there would be a hotfix soon, and that it would fix the back-end numbers, but not the tooltip, which is what happened. But for whatever reason, the next day after, as in after it was completely fixed, this player said, "You and I both know all you'll do is change the text and do nothing else meaningful until Season 6 or so, when the XP will be patched correctly for Season 2. And Adam Fletcher, the Global Community Development Director, was purely, completely confused by this, understandably. Clearly, this player is just someone who is extremely resentful towards the game at this point, but even then, this is just a really silly thing to say. Like, it's one thing if you say, yeah, they'll fix this in Season 6 as a joke. It's funny, given the past of the game, given how long they take to do some things. But to say the statement that they did, the way that they did, full chest out like you 100% believe it to be the truth, that doesn't seem like a joke. That seems like they're genuinely mad and that's what they genuinely think. And especially the fact that they did this after the experience and gold buff were actually fixed, I find it so genuinely funny, so I thought I should share it with you all too for the laugh. Then we just have a couple of players bringing up a known problem. If you're trying to trade gold on console, there is no way to just like input a number. You have to slowly hold up on D-pad while it eventually reaches the number you're looking for, which of course is much worse now than it ever was before, as we have hundreds of millions of gold flowing around in each player's economy, so scrolling ever so slowly up to that is just agonizing. To this first tweet, Adam simply says they are looking at reworking it, but the same issue came up again just a day later, and this time Adam says changes are most likely happening to this next season. So within the span of a day, they went from looking at reworking it to definitely reworking it with a likely timeline as well. I'm not sure what changed so fast, but it's good news for console players that this is coming for sure. Then one last thing, apparently if you do Uber Lilith in a group, but one of your players isn't in the boss room itself, like just outside of the entry gate, at one of her phase swapping moments, she will teleport to the player outside of the area, which breaks the encounter and resets her entirely. Apparently this is considered a bug, a known bug, and it will be fixed in the very next upcoming client patch. It's not a big thing, but good to see them on top of stuff a bit for sure. That just about does it then for the news today. Of course, as usual, there's a fair amount happening. The scale of it is quite variable. Sometimes it is important in a minor sense. Sometimes we get info on whole new seasons or expansions. But today was mostly heavily loaded with just, hey, we've just been given a bunch of free stuff and then more free stuff, and having a look at what we got, and you know, that's sort of a hard thing to complain about. That said, there's always more news coming up every day, and so of course I'll be back soon with even more. What do you think about these new cosmetics then? Are they up your alley, or are you just unhappy that the armor set is Barbarian only? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.